conversation today, taking our road first from Max Dipper, who is an American businessman and writer. He once said, "The first responsibility of a leader is to define reality. The last is to say, thank you. In between, the leader is a servant." I agree with this one. A second quote is coming from Jack Welch. He is an American business executive. He's a chemical engineer and a writer. He once said, "Before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. When you become a leader, success is all about growing others." Absolutely spot on. Our last quote is from John Maxwell. He is an American author. He's also a speaker and a pastor. He once said, "A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way." That's a very popular one. A lot of people knows that one. All right, now let's see how all of this quote relate to what we will be discussing today. Very warm greetings and welcome to the conversation. We are reaching you from Captain's Television here in the nation's capital, Abuja. Of course, my name is Annabelle Oji. Now, today we will be having a conversation with Engineer Yabagi Sani, who is also the Jakadan Nupe. He is the presidential candidate of Action Democratic Party, ADP, and we'll be getting to find out exactly what his manifesto is all about. Because remember the last time we had that conversation with him, we never knew that he is going to be the presidential candidate of the party. So how exactly did we miss that part of the conversation, that juicy part of the conversation? You definitely get to know more of this after this time out. Join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us, this is The Conversation. We're reaching you from Captain's Television here in the nation's capital, Abuja. If you just joined us, you're right on time for the interview. Our guest on the show today is Engineer Yabagi Sani. He is the presidential candidate for Action Democratic Party. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Dr. for having me.
It's good to have you again. All right, now before a few weeks ago, when we actually had this same chat, I remember that was before the primary elections, and then you were, amongst other things, the chairman of IPAC, that's the Inter-Party Advisory Council, and then you were also the national chairman of the party, that's ADP. But then we actually didn't get into the conversation of knowing that you are also the presidential candidate of the party. So I'm just wondering how we managed to miss out on that part of the conversation, that you eyeing that position of being the next CEO of Nigeria. Tell us, how were you actually nursing that ambition, or it just came at the spur of the moment?
Well, thank you very much. You know, once you are a compatriot and you are already, so to speak, in the arena of politics, for every human being, you know, in any endeavor at all, your aspirations is to, of course, achieve the zenith of that activity or profession or what you are doing. So, one, as a politician; number two, as a technocrat who has a very good knowledge of what the problem of this country, you know, the problem. I know we have so many problems, but there's one particular problem that I'm sure if you were able to solve, it will have that ripple effects, you know, in solving the other problems which we have in this country. And I believe that I have the knowledge of that particular problem. And if, of course, there's opportunity for me to preside over the affairs of the country, I would like to solve that problem so that the country will continue to not only perform at its optimal level, but to surpass others that have similar challenges or similar opportunities and potentials as countries. So that's why when the opportunity, came for me to step forward as the presidential candidate of ADP, I grabbed it because I know I possess what it takes to preside over the affairs of this country and perform creditably.
Okay.
That I know that this country is blessed fabulously by way of natural endowment, in terms of resources, in terms of human capital, in terms of the size of the country itself, and the size of the population that we have, and even the location, the mere location of Nigeria is an asset if we tap into it and use it to the advantage of the country. And here we are also blessed by nature itself. We don't suffer these disasters, natural disasters, like other countries. So when you put all those things together, then the question is, why are we not outperforming others? Why are we underperforming even ourselves as a country? And that's why I believe that given the opportunity, I will certainly, turn things around for the better for this country in a manner that Nigerians will never believe that it's the same country where we are battling with abject poverty, pervasive insecurity, and lack of growth in our economy.
Okay. Okay, so we'll definitely take some of these points one after the other. But before we move ahead, now we'd like to understand, is it that were you actually unopposed during the election, your primary elections, or no one actually particularly was interested in that position? Now, I'm going to ask you two questions and I'd like you to take them in one breath. That's one on the side. And then second is, was that the reason why the committee, that's IPAC, was seriously was pressuring the electoral umpire, that's INEC, to extend the date for the primary elections, even though they were hell-bent on the fact that they cannot extend the date? But then we saw the pressure that you and your committee put on them, and then they had to battle the pressure later on. That's like almost at the end of it all.
No, not at all. It's far from that. What happened in the case of the primaries and the timing of INEC is a different thing entirely. It hasn't to do with a particular political party. Okay. Before this time, people were insinuating that it was APC that was, pushing us to ask for the extension. But far from that. Okay. What we wanted to do was to be able to spend enough time on the aspect of the electoral process that we know determines the success or otherwise of that process itself. And that is recruitment of leadership for this country. That is not something you want to rush. It's something that you want as much as possible to give it the amount of time that you can give, so that you can do due diligence on individuals who step forward to be given responsibilities to pretend over the affairs of the country, either as House of Assembly member, governorship, House of Rep member, senator, or president, as the case may be. So that is not something you want to rush. That is something that you want to give as much time as possible so that political parties can get it right. When you look at that against the background of our dichotomies in this country, Nigeria is not a normal country in that sense. You have to balance, and that's why up to today, some parties are still grappling with the issue of their running mates. It is because of those dichotomies. It's because of those sentiments that if you pick your candidate from the north, you have to now see how you balance it with another candidate from the south as deputy or vice versa. So this is why we say that, no, this is not the stage of the process that we must rush. Allow parties to do due diligence. Allow parties to consult widely so that end of the day, they will be able to come to terms with the problems and solve them. That's the problem of ensuring that these things do not interfere with the ultimate goal, which is good governance for the people of this country. Because if you rush it, you find yourself in a situation where either the party or the people of this country will lose. Why do I say people will lose? If you present a ticket that does not adequately take into consideration all those sentiments, you may have the best candidate, but because you did not take into consideration all these sentiments, you lose the votes that would have given that person the opportunity to now preside over the affairs of the country. So that's why we told INEC that, yes, we know you have constitutional limits, as far as time is concerned, but we are aware of that. And we know we're not in this for its own sake. We're here for a purpose. And that purpose cannot be achieved if we rush this stage. That's why we asked for it.
Okay, so were you unopposed or?
No, okay, the other question of what, no, I wasn't unopposed, really. What happened is that the people that wanted to participate halfway did not, conclude what the requirement, of the party
Okay.
was. So it wasn't that I was unopposed. There are people that came forward, but for one reason or the other, they couldn't meet the requirement of the guidelines of the party and even the electoral law itself. So because there are conditions, like you have to resign if you are working before, as Section 8412, like says, Electoral Act. And there are so many other things required for you to be able to participate in elections. And perhaps some people saw that it's not convenient for them. So that's why, end of the day, I emerged as the consensus candidate.
All right, so you were once quoted as saying that the consensus is a great favor because if we go into 2023 without anybody to contest for president, our name will not be in the ballot. Is that actually the reason why you're contesting, so that you will not lose having the party's name in the ballot, and then which could probably lead to the death of the party?
Exactly. So, well, you are right to a very large extent. But the fact of the matter, like you rightly said, is that when you subject, democratic processes to a regimental, arrangement, as you will find in mechanistic systems like the military and autocratic governments, you will not be able to fulfill, the essence, the requirements, the objective, of that, the goal of democracy itself. So that's why when the electoral law now includes consensus, indirect or direct, when options were given to parties to now choose whichever suits their own situation, I congratulated Nigerians, because that is to say that parties are now allowed to decide what suits, their own situation, in order to be able to meet the requirement of the law and present to Nigerians the best option that they can give. That's why consensus to us, like you rightly said, it's desirable given our stage of development and given the fact, like I said, a lot of sentiments are at play when it comes to the politics of this country, especially presidential. So if something like consensus can come, which is there now, it will help that, address those sentiments. And then instead of you to go out there, you can say, okay, you come together and say, okay, let's agree on this person. And then we go on.
All right, so now you will be running for the position of the president, of becoming the president of Nigeria, alongside some other big names like the former vice president, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. You have the former governor of Lagos State, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You also have the former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, and then you have the former governor of Kano State, Kwankwaso, and then the Kwankwansias. So first of all, how prepared are you in terms of sustenance, persistence, to go the whole 9 yards, regardless of whatsoever, to run this race?
Well, first of all, you see, if I ask you to be honest with yourself, you mentioned the experience of these people in Nigerian politics. And the question you ask, what have we got to show for it that will make one be proud of, such experience? The people you just mentioned, this one was this before, this one was that, this one was that. You find that when you now critically analyze the violence, or the value rather, of what these people mean to an average Nigerian, the answer is zero. So, which means we shouldn't continue to do the same thing the same way and expect different results. Nigerians should by now be thinking of something different so that we can get a different result. But if you said you are going to be still continuing with the personnel that the people you have mentioned, whose experience has not in any way helped this country, if anything, the fortunes of this country have been dwindling, over the years. And we got to this abyss where we are now. So I think Nigerians by now should wake up and say that, we have brains. We can think. We can remember. We can see. And therefore, we should be able to chart a new course for this country and do something different like other countries have done. So that's why I don't consider those ones as a challenge at all.
Okay.
I believe that by the time we present what we can do for Nigerians and what they have been doing for Nigerians, you will see a remarkable difference, and you will see a promise for greatness, and you will, in fact, see the potential and opportunities of this country being transformed to the benefits of the people of this country. So that's why when you mention such names, to me, they are just, how do you call it, paper tigers.
Okay.
Yes, they are paper tigers, because if we are pitched to a debate, the question I ask, are you not ashamed of yourself that you are part of the past that we are trying to run away from? You have the audacity to come out to ask Nigerians to vote for you again after all this damage done to Nigeria, economically, socially, politically. You can't take us for granted and think that everybody is a fool. No, we're not fools. We know what we're doing. Nigeria is not bereft of people that have what it takes in terms of track records. I have done, I think, more than all these people put together in terms of helping this country to advance, like other countries have advanced. But what has been standing between us and that progress is the people you have just mentioned. Yes. Okay. They are the cog in the wheel of progress, because they can't see beyond, what today they know. Their cycle, that's all they know. But this country has the potential to be a superpower, not only on the continent of Africa, but in the world. Everybody knows this. China today becoming a superpower, it was not anything bigger than Nigeria in terms of potentials, in terms of opportunities, in terms of resources. If you look at China, China has big population, isn't it? Nigeria has big population. Today we are battling with all these problems simply because we have not been able to get the right leader. Somebody that will really be the champion to move this country, have that great leap forward in our economic, social, political, life.
So you're ready to go the whole 9 years and not
Certainly.
Later on we get to hear
Not
that.
at all, not at all. Those who know me know that I'm not for that kind of thing at all. Never, it has never happened to me. I've never done it, And to say that I will chicken out, no, I never did. And I will never do, I'll never chicken out because there's no reason why I should. When I know that I'm better, than the other person.
All right. So now we've actually seen for a lot of parties, we've actually seen their campaigns going on here and there. We've seen them in the media, the social media, and all of that. But then we're yet to see more of your activities. Because I remember the last time we also had this conversation. You said that for your party, you're just like doing the on-the-ground work, and then all the noise that you're hearing, they're just empty vessels. That was the word you quoted. They're just empty vessels that are just making the loud noise. So are we going forward? Are we going to be seeing more of your campaign moves and then your campaign trains moving here, there, and everywhere?
You see, if you look at what is even happening today, it's against the letter and spirit of electoral law. It's illegal.
Oh,
nobody is allowed to campaign now as we speak. Campaigns can only start 150 days to the election. That's what the electoral law says. So you still need another 2 months or so, to do it legally.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but you have desperados all over the place. That's why they cannot afford to wait, and they don't respect our laws. They're not even proud to be Nigerians in that sense. Otherwise, if you respect the law of the land, you will play, in accordance with the law.
All right, so let's talk about your blueprints for what you intend to achieve being the president. What are your, first of all, let's talk about your blueprints and then talk about your manifesto. What is it like? Give us an inkling of your manifesto.
You see, Nigeria is a ready-made greatness in terms of the economic performance potential of this country. And a nation like Nigeria that is blessed with oil and gas, we are number 6 in the world. When you come to gas, we are effectively number 4 or 3, actually, when it comes to gas. Population-wise, I said it before, agriculture, solid minerals. So this country is waiting for a leader like myself. Why do I say so? The economy of this country cannot be any way, looked at without taking the oil and gas sector as the centerpiece of your economic policy. To do otherwise is either you are ignorant of what you are doing or somebody is deceiving you. Yes. Because why are we in the problems why are we having the problems we are having today? From the economic point of view, it is because revenue to the coffers of the government is dwindling by the day. That's the only reason why we are where we are today. Insecurity, restiveness, all the bad things that happen to this country is because revenue to run the economy of this country is dwindling by the day at such a very precarious or very risky rate to the survival of the country. And why is it happening? It's happening because some people hijacked the economy of this country, and we end up now with what we call state capture, whereby the oil and gas sector that would have provided the resources that you need to develop the other sectors of the economy is being stolen in a manner that you think what you have in place is an army of occupation that have conquered this country, and they're just taking the loot.
But some people will tell you that it didn't just start yesterday.
Yes.
It's been a long time coming.
No, it's been a long time coming, but that's the point I'm taking. I'm telling you, I'm trying to call your attention to, that we have had leaders that are either ignorant, or themselves are questionable in terms of their commitment and character. Otherwise, if they are not compromised themselves, they would have seen that this country, with this position that we have in terms of the most sought after energy, and the economy is all over the world. It's run by energy, isn't it? And the source of energy we have is the most sought after today. I'm not talking about tomorrow, what may happen. So why not make hay while the sun shines? Why are we allowing people to come and steal at a rate they are stealing this crude oil, and even the revenue from crude oil being diverted to private pockets by people that are in charge of that sector? Why do we allow that to happen? But then I ask you, officially, the figures they are giving you, even if you take it from 90 point of view, that is the agency that, carries out annual audit of the oil and gas sector. They come up with a figure of nothing less than $4.5 billion that is being stolen year in, year out, official. If you go to real figure, your heart will bleed for this country. $4.5 billion every year is being lost.
So is that where
and it's stolen?
Is that where your president is going to focus the beam light on?
But then I have to, because if I don't, it means I'm a fool. Why should I go borrowing money when I have conservatively $4.5 billion that will accrue to me from my internal sources? You were told about 2 months ago that 80% of your revenue was stolen. Officially, you are told that 80% of what you are supposed to make has been stolen. And they also told you that about 99% or 100% of everything you are making is being used to service debt. And you just learned that your Accountant General of Federation stole about 170 billion naira. I mean, is that, I mean, all this money, unless you want to perform magic, otherwise a sensible government will focus on how to at least reduce this stealing. Because it's a crime. It's never condoned anywhere in the world.
All right.
So I believe that given the opportunity and my knowledge of the industry, believe you me, 3 months down the line, Nigerians will never believe that it's the same country that is called Nigeria.
3 months.
3 months down the line.
So we're giving you 3 months. After 3 months.
3 months.
First 100 days.
First 100 days, believe you me, you will never believe that this is the same country. Because as we speak today, I have proposals that I've given to this government. They know what it means. They know what will happen. But because they themselves are interested in the looting, they don't want to allow that system to work. Jonathan allowed it to work. Unfortunately, it came at the tail end of the Jonathan administration.
Are you speaking of the confab?
Not confab.
Okay.
This is something to check the crude oil theft and the infractions at the export terminals. Confab, all these things are, if you don't have money, no matter how beautiful your system is, it won't work. Like the saying goes, a beautiful cage does not feed a bird. You can't put a bird in a cage, you make it so beautiful, it would die. Or if it has a potential, it will just fly out.
Okay.
So the point I'm making is that there are fundamental issues in this country that only a president, I repeat, only a president can address it. Because not your ministers, not the directors, not the people you put in the parastatals, they cannot address that problem.
And that's the reason why you're going for that position.
That's why I'm going for that position. Because that's where I know if you had had somebody like me at the health of affairs in this country, believe you me, would have long forgotten all these things that are happening to us today.
All right. But do for a break. Let's go on this quick break, and when we return, we'll definitely expand this conversation. We'll see you shortly. Don't move a muscle.
If today.
If you just joined us, this is The Conversation. We are reaching you from Captain's Television here in the nation's capital, Abuja. If you just joined us, you've missed quite a lot, but then you can still join in the conversation. Our guest on the show today is Engr Yabagi Sani. He is the presidential candidate for ADP, and he's also known as the Jakadan Nupe. All right, before we go on, we went on that short break. We've actually talked about quite a lot of things, but in a few seconds, we'd like to know what kind of leadership style are you bringing on board?
Well, I'm bringing leadership style that will turn this country from a private sector driven economy, not from a public sector driven economy to a private sector driven economy.
Ah, okay.
Yes, because that's the only way we can make it. You can't give responsibility of supervising this 21st century economy to somebody that has little or no stake in what is happening. That's what happens to civil servants. They have little or no stake. Their salaries are guaranteed, whether they perform or not. Even whether they're even stealing, they still get their salaries. You go and borrow money, you give it to civil servants to run. They steal it. So my government, my administration, our government is going to be the government that will work towards turning this economy from the doldrums where it is today, as a public sector driven economy to a private sector driven economy.
So how much would this affect businesses, especially for SMEs
Boom.
and MSMEs?
Boost. To boost the economy. What I'm saying, I'm taking the government away from the civil servants, and systematically, bring in that can-do spirit and accountability, transparency to running government affairs. If you look at the United States of America, look at Europe, other developed economies, it's because they have been able to turn things around.
But a lot of people will say you cannot compare those nations that you called with ours.
Why,
How workable is it
to
have private sector driven economy at over 80%?
It's very simple, doable. If your judicial system is working, investors will come because they know that if something happens, they have a recourse, somewhere to go to. If your economic policies are the ones that respect the market, that is supply, demand and supply. They know that when they put in their money, government will not interfere too much because there's no absolute capitalist system or absolute socialist system anywhere. What happens is the mix, but the problem now is what percentage of your policies is capitalist, percentage that is socialist in nature. So we'll have a mix, and we'll make sure that mix is tilted towards capitalism, so that it will not be to you according to your ability. And we'll make sure you have that ability. Because government will come with subsidies. My government will introduce subsidies, but not these fraudulent ones that you have today. Subsidies will be given to productive sectors so that you will now be able to increase the productivity of the economy. If you target your subsidies to the productive sector, it comes with advantage to the people. But if you take it to the non-productive sector, like the consumers and things like that, then of course what you have is, the economy will dwindle, because nothing is being brought back to the economy. You are just taking, and nothing is being brought back in terms of input, in terms of contribution to the growth of the economy.
Okay.
So we will do things that will ensure that our GDP performs at not less than 10% per annum. Okay. Because this country, we know it has the capacity It has the potential. It has what it takes. We have young, dynamic population, very intelligent population that is waiting to be engaged. You have resources. You don't have to import raw materials. Perhaps you import machinery, but how many times do you buy machinery? Maybe you buy one today until 20 years later. You just keep improving it. But human capital resources, the resources, you have it here. So you don't have to import. And the ones you have to import, you import it once in a long time. So this is an economy that is waiting to become great because it's a promise of greatness. All the ingredients are there.
All right, now since you talked about subsidy, one question that keeps coming to my mind then is the issue of fuel. And then you now talk about these days that Nigerians have been suffering with regards to fuel subsidy, either fuel subsidy or then the fuel queues, just when you thought that we've actually gotten a breather. Tomorrow, again, the fuels are back to the filling stations. And the Nigerians, you have people who just keep sleeping at the filling stations day and night trying to get fuels, but they're not able to get them. And then you have people just pushing the blame. The IPMAN, I had a conversation with the IPMAN president a few days ago, and then he's pushing the blame to the midstream and the downstream sector. And then they are also pushing the blame to the federal government. And then you have these people pushing the blame again to the tank farmers. So you have been a stakeholder in that sector. What exactly is the issue and how do you intend to solve that quagmire?
Well, you see, I have told you about the thieves in that sector of the economy. Official thieves and even the traders who are thieves too, because they take advantage when they see that the people supervising the industry are thieves, and they are there to maximize profit. They take advantage of it. The only reason where we are today is because the industry is full of thieves. They are stealing. There's no doubt about that. And the reason why they are stealing is because they have not allowed the international best practice to be introduced in that sector deliberately, criminally. They did that. That sector, when it comes to doing business with the government, there's no online systems. It's manual. I know in NNPC, they'll tell you they have SAP. SAP is to automate all the processes, isn't it? But they spend billions on it. I know for a fact because I know about it. I'm an engineer, I'm in that industry. There's the last mile that they're supposed to integrate. They refuse to do it, which will now send data automatically into their system. They refused deliberately. There's no country where SAP is introduced without automatic, feeding of data. If you have to do it manually, it will still be garbage in, garbage out. The entire NNPC, the entire is run as far as government side is concerned in that way. Go to Shell or Mobil or ExxonMobil or Total. They don't do that. The SAP is automatically integrated to their systems. It's not manual. Here, deliberately we did it. We are doing it as we speak. When they were about to pass the PIA bill that they said, which created the midstream and downstream, agencies, what have you, we cried out. I personally approached the Senate through some senators that this bill they are trying to pass is the biggest swindle against this country of the century. Because they are lying to Nigerians that they are coming to open up the industry. It's not the complete opposite is what they did. That's why you're having these problems you're having today. That's why you had foul fuel into the country without somebody checking it. And that's why you can never solve the problem of the fuel subsidy, fraud.
But then you have like the IPMAN president saying that it is Nigerians that are even enjoying the fuel subsidy, and he actually gave the proverbial robbing Peter to pay Paul. So he, according to him, they are being robbed to pay Nigerians. So it's we Nigerians that are enjoying the benefits, the dividends of subsidy.
I'm sure it's a slip of tongue. He didn't mean that. He didn't mean that. It's a slip of tongue. If he has a company, if he has a private company that he runs, he won't allow that to happen in his company. He will not allow what is happening today to happen in his own company, no. If Buhari owns a private company, that's what I'm saying. He will not allow that system to go on in that private company that he has. But because here, nobody's accountable, there's no justice, that's why all the things happening are happening. You know, people here don't talk to power. They don't hold power accountable. You know, because there's no sane person that will run a business where 80% of your revenue is being stolen. And you say, no, it's, they still need to pay, you know, it's robbing Peter to pay Paul. What do we call it stealing? So the president must have been misquoted out of context.
Okay, so what is your, would your administration do to solve this quagmire, this everyday being on the
very
field
simple.
station?
It's very simple. The reports are there. I cited Naiti. I worked for Naiti as a consultant about 2-3 times, you know, investigating the oil and gas sector. I did a report on the military infrastructure because military infrastructure is the fundamental, is the system that tells you how you can be accountable, how you can be transparent. If you can't measure, how do you monitor? How do you even control? So when I was given that job, I did it beyond, in fact, the amount given to me. In fact, Naiti was asking, where did I get the money to do this, to even cover the areas I covered? I said, because it's my country, that's why I did it. The report is there. After my report, so many reports have come out too. I remember at one time, Jonathan appointed Ribadu to go around and find out. Air Force also came out. You know, Senate also came out to say that the measuring system we have is substandard. Crude oil theft is the order of the day. Who says Gabon here, they measure their crude oil from the wellheads. We don't, we estimate. And even when we get to gathering fields where you can say, okay, put meters here that will tell us what has come here, they say, no, there's no need. The only thing they do is to go to the export terminal, thousands of kilometers away from where the crude oil is coming. So after they have stolen enough, then whatever escaped to the terminal, that's what they want to measure. That's where they want to measure even the production upstream, that they should have been measured as it's coming out of the ground, because royalties which you pay on that says, including the sand and everything that's coming out of the ground, must be measured, and you must pay government. And that contributes about 22% of the revenue to government. And we are now, 22% is not measured. It's estimates. So as a president, I know what to do. How can a country like this has no policy where we measure production? Anybody, you say anybody, come with your data, say, volume. And Haiti has been reporting this over every year in and year out. It's not that they don't know. It's not that they don't know what are all the things I'm saying. They know. But the political will is not there. It may be either out of ignorance or out of complicity.
All right, now let's take other segments or other sectors of the society. Let's talk about security. Now, we saw that with this report, just recently we saw the jailbreak in Kuje prison, and then it was reported that 64, according to the Minister of Interior, who said that, Defense rather, who said that 64 inmates that amongst them were Boko Haram inmates, and then that they were among those that escaped. And then you still have the issue of the Dapchi girls, you still have the issues of Chibok girls, you still have even the Abuja Kaduna train attack. Most of these people, the victims, are still at their abductors' nets. So what exactly do you intend to do if you become the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces with regards to security, securing the lives and properties of Nigerians?
I will be in charge. I will be in charge as the president. Today, nobody is in charge. Simply, be in charge. Because you have all the powers. You have all the things that you are going to use to exercise your power. Use them. If you don't use them, why did they put them there? Why was it designed for you to exercise those powers? Why didn't they say, no, let everybody do whatever he likes, and then you are just commander-in-chief in name? I will be in charge. That's all it takes. It doesn't take anything. I'll be in charge, and nothing like somebody going to my state, Niger State, to attack me. It will never happen. You will never even dream of it. Not talk of other, in fact, no other, how can the number one citizen, like you said, who's the commander-in-chief, how can his state will be the epicenter of killings, kidnappings, raping, and everything, day in, day out? How can my convoy be attacked? How? Where? And I'm the commander-in-chief? I'm not. So nobody's in charge. That's why what is happening is happening. I will be in charge as the president. That's for sure.
All right, so let's move to other issues. Other issues that have been bedeviling the country. Let's talk about the controversial water resources bill that actually passed some houses of assembly, and then now it's been introduced back again. What are your thoughts on that bill?
It was politicized, that's all. It was politicized. It was just politicization of the bill. It's a beautiful bill as far as I'm concerned, because all it says is that let's control the natural resources, the water. Let's ensure that who is using the water is known to the government. What he wants to do with it is known, isn't it? Because water is just, we are so lucky in this country that it's not as scarce as it is in other countries. But it can't continue to like that for long, forever.
So how exactly do you mean that it was politicized?
No, people were saying that the whole of Lagos, 60% of Lagos is water, and they now want to control Lagos, and Lagos is supposed to be controlled by the state government. They were using the riverine areas to politicize the whole thing. So, I mean, that's what it is. Mm. No government will ever bring something that will be against the interests of its people. It doesn't work. Okay. If they do that, they don't do it by law, by enacting a law. They know that people will go against it, of course, isn't it? So no government will come out by legislation that will pass through assemblies and all these things to cheat the people of that country. It's only when the people try to politicize it, they will start making all sort of claims that are not there.
Mm. So your government will give flesh to that bill?
Not only that bill, we will do more to ensure that this country is run as a sane and a properly governed country, which is what it's supposed to be. Because the arbitrariness cannot translate to good governance.
Mm. If you're talking about arbitrariness, now,
yes.
What are your thoughts on the humongous calls for autonomy, that local government autonomy, be it financial or administrative autonomy?
It's long overdue. Autonomy for local governments is long overdue. If we really want to impact positively people of this country, that's the closest tier of government to the people, isn't it? So no amount of money spent there is too much. If we have been doing it the way it's supposed to be done, even the way it is in the Constitution today, I mean, it's supposed to be in the Constitution today, that is, the money to the government is given to them, perhaps you won't have bandits. Banditry will not be at the level it is today. It will not be, because money is given to them themselves, and people will now be able to use the money for themselves. Not here that somebody sits in the state capital, and will hijack the money that's supposed to go to the local governments and only pay salaries. He'll just say, how much do you need to pay for your overheads? And they give them, not for capital development. The capital development, they will give it to their own friends who will not do the job. That's why they look for their friends, because they know if they give them the money, they won't do the job, and they will return the money to them. Instead of local government chairman now appointing contractors that he can supervise and make sure the job is done. No, they tell him, don't worry, just tell us how much is your own overhead. And they'll devise something and give him, and he keeps quiet. We know why he keeps quiet. He keeps quiet because the man telling him now was the one who put him there. It isn't that he won any election. He just picked him and declared him the winner. That's all. So the man cannot even argue. Otherwise, he won't go back again. That's the kind of elections you have at local government level, isn't it? When elections are held, the state controlled by one party, everybody wins. not even a councillorship is given to another party. Even if you win, they will refuse to give it to you because the tribunal will again be set up by the same governor. He set up the state electoral commission, isn't it? And if you say you are cheated there, you want to go to tribunal, he also will set up the tribunal.
Okay. All right, before we, our time is fast spent, but before we leave, we'd like to talk about, we cannot actually leave without talking about the issue of the ASU and the federal government strikes, and then now you have the youth who actually constitute the large conglomerate of the society, and then they are at home, and then they're expected to be among the people that are supposed to come out to vote, to exercise their franchise and put their thumb where their mouth is. But then they've been at home for over 4 months now. So what exactly would your government do to solve this hydra-headed challenge with regards to that sector? Because it's been there for decades, in fact, centuries.
There's a saying that, or there's one dictum that if you want to destroy a country, attack its educational system. If you want to destroy a country, as beautiful as this country is, the potential I've told you about, anybody who wants to destroy it, first of all, go to the educational system and attack it. After that, go to the agriculture sector, attack it. Don't let them be self-sufficient in food production. Then you will have the country crumbling on its knees. There's no way that country can survive. Because people want to eat food. They are denied food. They want to have education for them to know what to do with their life. They are denied. So it's either this government, there's some conspiracy at the highest level of government that cannot understand that if you allow our education system to be attacked the way it's being attacked, and we allow farming and all this to be attacked the way to be attacked, it's a recipe for fast destruction of this country. Even if somebody from outside is trying to destroy this country, perhaps, maybe, I don't know, perhaps, maybe it's an outsider, because it beats my imagination that Nigerians themselves will come together and will be the architect, of destruction of this country. There's no other way to look at it. It's just aimed at destroying what is called Nigeria today. The fastest way to do it is the tool system. People cannot go to farm today. Can't travel. People cannot go to school again. So what do you expect of that country? To be run to seed. And the country will disappear because people will start killing us like we're doing now.
All right. All right, before we leave, very quickly, in a few seconds, why exactly should Nigerians trust you with their vote come 2023? What exactly makes you different, peculiar from every other candidate?
I have the knowledge. Don't make the mistake of giving your power to somebody who doesn't have the knowledge. It's like, it's dangerous. And trusting somebody that has no knowledge of what to do with power, is the most dangerous thing that you can do to your country. That's why they should trust me. I have the knowledge. I know what to do.
All right. It's been a wonderful time having this conversation with you. Thank you so much, Engr Yabagi Sani. It's been a wonderful time having this talk with you.
It's a pleasure talking to you too, Annabelle.
All right, we have been chatting with Engr Yabagi Sani. He is the presidential candidate of ADP, and it's been a wonderful time here on The Conversation. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll definitely see you again next time. Keep watching The Conversation because you never know who my next guest will be and what my next topic will be all about. I'll see you again next time from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Annabelle Oji. God bless Nigeria.